And a very good early evening to you, ladies and gents. Sorry about the balls up with YouTube and the lives. It's cut out the beginning bit, which is this, and the end bits of most of them. And this is a fairly important bit because it introduces us to the Dashwoods. This is the Dashwood Mausoleum, West Wycombe Hill, next to the Church of St Lawrence, of course. The Dashwood Mausoleum is originally on a hill fort. The mausoleum itself was built in the 1760s. The mausoleum was built by John Bastard and designed by Nicholas Revet for Sir Francis Dashwood, 2nd Baronet and 11th Baron Le Despencer. To the house, memorials of his friends and family, Sir Francis built the mausoleum with a bequest of £500 from his friend, the 1st Baron Malcolm, who in his will instructed that the money be used to construct an arch temple column or additional room for such of his seats where it is likely to remain the longest. The cost of the mausoleum was £495, 5 shillings and 3 pence. And I'll walk you up there and then I'll introduce you to some of the Dashwoods. Although this is called a mausoleum, it's there's not people buried inside, they're buried in the church. As I say, this is just a memorial to the Dashwoods. They are buried within vaults within the Church of St Lawrence. In the centre of the mausoleum stands a pedestal and urn flanked by 4 columns supporting a roof, and this is devoted to Sir Francis's wife, Sarah, the Baroness Le Despencer, who died in 1796. That is the wife of Sir Francis Dashwood of Hellfire fame. Sir Francis Dashwood himself died in 1781 and is commemorated on a marble slab that reads, "Beloved, respected and revered by all who knew him." Sir Francis and his family's bodies are interred in vaults in the Church of St Lawrence nearby. Now I shall introduce you to some of the Dashwoods. Now, Sir Francis, who I speak of Hellfire fame, this lady here, there's nothing. The first lady on the left, she is Mary Fane, the eldest daughter of Ver Earl of Westmoreland and the 2nd wife of Francis Dashwood. That's not Francis Dashwood of Hellfire fame, this is his father. So this lady that we're looking at is Hellfire Francis, his mother. She died in August 1710, aged 55, leaving 2 children, Rachel and Francis. Now the lady next to her is Sir Francis Dashwood of Hellfire fame's stepmother. And she is Mary King, daughter of Major J. King of the King's Own Island something regiment, 3rd wife to Sir Francis Dashwood. She died December 1719 of her age 35 years, and she left 3 children, Mary, John and Charles. Now, the next person I want to introduce you to is not a Dashwood, but it's interesting nonetheless. You see just there. Now these don't contain any remains or ashes or anything like that. They are memorials or commemorations. And this one is to Thomas Thompson, medical doctor. And he was doctor to Frederick, Prince of Wales. He was also a member of the Hellfire Club. You'll see a picture of him right at the very end of the video. But he was quite a famous man in his day. He was also made a baronet as well. He fought with Nelson at the Nile, so he worked his way up through the ranks like that. Our next person is here, and he is one of our war heroes, an aristocratic one nonetheless, but a war hero of course, and he is Robert Henry Lindsay Dashwood, captain of the Prince of Wales' own Yorkshire Regiment, son of Sir Robert John Dashwood, born in 1897, and he was killed in action on the 27th of May 1918 in France. His body was never recovered. There is a memorial to him at Sossians, and a photo of him and more will follow at the end of the video. Our next person, just there, and he is Sir Robert John Dashwood, 9th Baronet, 1859 to 1908. Interesting man this one, because he was born in New Zealand, but he unexpectedly succeeded to the baronetcy in 1893, but yet he died very suddenly in 1908, so he didn't get to enjoy that very long, I'm afraid. Our next person is just here. And she is Clara Adelaide Ida Conyers Lindsay, died 25th of April 1945, wife of Sir Robert John Dashwood, 9th Baronet, the one who unexpectedly inherited the Wycombe estate and the baronetcy. Our next person, and this man has a lot of titles, just there, Sir John Lindsay Dashwood, 1896 to 1966, 10th Baronet of West Wycombe, Premier Baronet of Great Britain, son of Sir Robert John Dashwood. He was in the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders and Tank Corps 1914 to 1918, Assistant Marshal of the Diplomatic Corps 1933 to 1958, High Sheriff of Buckingham 1934, Councillor of the Foreign Service 1934, and it's CVO or GVO 1952, and a photo of him will follow at the end of the video. Our next person is over here. Just there. And she is Victoria, only daughter of Baron de Rutzen of Schlebeck Park, Pembrokeshire, dearly loved wife of Sir Francis Dashwood, Baronet of West Wycombe, and mother of Emily, Georgina, Caroline and Edward, 1933 to 1976. Our next person is just there, and she's Lady Ellen Moira Dashwood, eldest daughter of Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Isaac Vernon Eaton of the Royal Canadian Horse Artillery, who was killed in action at Main Ridge 1917, and of Myra Fitz Brannan Frederick, it looks like, New Brunswick, Canada, later of Mill End Farm, West Wycombe, wife of Sir John Lindsay Dashwood, 10th Baronet, mother of Sarah, Francis and John. She died on the 22nd of she was born the 22nd of September 1899 and died on the 28th of June 1989. Ooh. Nearly knocked my phone down then. Our next person is just here, and he is the most recent burial, or commemoration rather I should say, because none of these people are buried in here, they are just commemorated here. Remember, Francis Vernon John Hereward Dashwood, 11th Baronet, 7th of August 1925 to the 9th of March 2000, who loved West Wycombe, filled it with life and did so much to restore its former glory. A photo will follow of him at the end as the lady before, and she is the wife of Sir Robert Lindsay Dashwood, the lady that we just spoke about. And right at the end of our video we'll feature a picture of the doctor, and also we must remember some of these niches, the ones up the top there, some of these are empty. They did contain memorials to other people. One contained the urn containing the heart of Paul Whitehead, so that's one, isn't it, eh? So this is basically where we're going to be exploring tonight, doing a ghost hunt right here from this very spot. You'll join us in the pitch black dark, and I did manage to pre-record it as well, because when I do a live I do a screen recording of it too. So luckily, because YouTube screwed the entire things up, luckily we've got that. So I'll walk you around and give you some more views. This is just viewed from a different angle, of course. Some of them, like this one here, that one there, the inscriptions are quite badly gone, so difficult to read. Sir Francis Dashwood, Hellfire Man, he's mother and stepmother, so he must have thought highly of his stepmother. And you're wondering, where is Sir Francis himself? Along the top of this line you can just see the writing of it to Francis Dashwood, so this whole thing is basically his memorial. These urns, they don't contain anything, the majority of them. They're marble and some are terracotta. As I said, some were stolen. We'll hear a little bit more of that at the end of the video. Anyway, I'll move you around to the other side. There you are, you get a bit of view of it. This here is its main entrance, but it has got other ones as well, so, but it's never open to the public. They had vandalism and a few unpleasant things go on inside here. This one here is one of the ones that you can't make out the inscription of, and our soldier that died in the war, when you see his bit on the video, you'll see his stone a good few years ago and looking much whiter and cleaner than it does now. Some of these whiter urns up here were put in to replace the ones that were stolen. There were busts as well, and some of them were stolen, and the rest were pretty much removed for safety because people were getting into it. How, I don't know, because I wouldn't mind getting into this one, if I'm honest with you. To have a look around, get a bit closer to the stones, I could take better pictures, but that's another story. But there is one thing that I would want to show you. It's a bit of a mystery with this one, and the mystery thing is this. Now, where does that go to? Because it says online and everything that there's no bodies buried in here at all. This is just a memorial. The bodies are buried inside the church. So where does this interesting little door lead to? If you read some descriptions of the church, there are rumours of a tunnel that leads from up here down into the caves that was blocked up with chalk. Is this it? So we shall see. Well, we won't, but we would like to see rather. Anyway, as I say, join us tonight and I hope you're going to enjoy. And here you see it in its evening aspect, all lit up. This is around 9:30, and it does look a lovely sight when it's all lit up, I can tell you. And this is it just after 12 when the lights have gone off. Meet James, who's up there setting up with the lights and that, and you can see all the stars in the sky. It is very beautiful, I must admit. Eerie, very eerie, but beautiful. Our incident room for the evening. We store the equipment in here. If you need to listen back to anything, the wind, you can go in here and listen to it and keep food and stuff in there. And now, let's get into this ghost hunt, shall we? I hope you're all going to enjoy this. Good evening, ladies and gents. Hope you're all well. I don't think this is going to work, is it? Can I put a flash on? That's better. Sorry about that. London Luke is not brilliant at technology. Hope you're all well. And tonight you join me at the Dashwood Mausoleum on top of West Wycombe Hill. This is phase 1 of our investigation. I'm not alone. A young fella whose dad I met in the pub opposite to where I'm staying. He deals with dogs locally, the dad, and the young lad James, he's really interested in the paranormal, so he came up here with me, but it's got a bit too cold for him and he's in the car. It is very, very cold, but he's literally he's watching this, so there's only a scream or I have an alarm thing on me to press, which is extremely loud, I'm told, so, but not that there should be any problems. So we're gonna set you up here. There we are. Remember, I'm plugged in. And first I need to show you the setup, don't I? Sorry, slightly unprofessional of me, but I'm new to this ghost hunting, like particularly in the pitch black dark. Why isn't my torch gone on? Can't turn on torch because the light is being used. Oh, that's something else, well, fair enough. Alright, basically what we have, I'll get the torch and I'll show you. EM pump sitting on a towel because it did create a bit of buzzing noise that I've picked up on. We're a bit different tonight. When we were 300 foot below in the caves, the inner temple is directly 300 foot below this, but being in the open we are exposed to radio waves. So what I do to counteract that is I use this Faraday pouch which has a coating on it. I seal the SB7 spirit box up inside that and don't put its aerial up. Seal it up completely. I find on a backward sweep that I get more success, which is unusual really because it should be fairly jumbled. prayer book, labradorite, calcite, and there's this black stone at the end, and I completely forget what the name of it is, but it enhances apparently our link between this world and the next. A compass as part of a small experiment. Speaker for the spirit box. We have here tonight, and it wouldn't have worked in the caves. I did try it and it's just too echoey in there. This is an EVP recorder, and it is very, very sensitive. It can pick up on the slightest voices or anything like that, really. And this, I emptied the Highland Spring water out of it, and this lovely, slightly cloudy but very clean water comes from the little river on Lord Dashwood's estate. And this is our trigger object for tonight. So our first location is here. I shall take you there. Our little leaning area where we are is just where we're doing our experiment. This is the first Sir Francis Dashwood. The Francis Dashwood that I talk about, of the Hellfire Club, this man is his father. The Francis Dashwood of Hellfire Club fame and Lady Dashwood are just there. So if you pick up on anything, orbs or whatnot, because I have, bless him, it did freak James out a little bit. I was taking some pictures up of the top of the pinnacle things up there, and just as I took them, we heard a woman go, mm. And just as it happened, 2 orbs appeared. So, now I shall put the torch back. Handy the bench really being there. Very kind of it. But yeah, this EVP recorder, when I turn it on, it goes, I shall put it inside here. This basically cuts out all the wind interference. Now you can buy these gadgets online from paranormal stores for about 20 or 30 quid. I made mine from a Pringles pot wrapped in tissue paper and black gaffer tape, and it serves exactly the same purpose and saved me the money. So call me mean if you want to. So I shall place you here near to the speaker for the spirit box. Water to hold us in place and serve as a handy trigger object. I am sorry about the darkness, there's not very much I can do about that, I'm afraid. I can't use the flash, so, and I don't know how you operate a flash on a live here, if there is such a thing to do. No, and I don't want to screw up the live, so yeah. Right, so firstly we'll talk about the Sir Francis Dashwood, who I speak a lot of. Sir Francis Dashwood, Lord de Dispenser, as he became. His father first began the digging out of the chalk mines below us for the building of the road from West Wycombe to High Wycombe, and then Sir Francis, who became more ennobled than his father, built the very great estate that, if you've watched it, you've already seen, West Wycombe Park. Absolutely beautiful location, really stunning. He built that. He built this mausoleum where we stand, and he rebuilt the church where we're going to investigate as phase 2, which will be a separate live. I'm going to do them in 3 separate phases. You're going to have this one, which is the Dashwood Mausoleum, then you're going to have the churchyard of St Lawrence, and then you're going to have the lost Saxon village, where there's said to have been a pagan temple built in Roman times, Norman hill fort, Saxons, the lot. So, yeah, too much to encompass in one live. So, I am going to turn on the spirit box now. Lord Dashwood, Lady Dashwood, Paul Whitehead, any of the members of the Hellfire Club. Please come and speak to us if you can.
She was 21. In Father's house. Again. She was like a me.
There are any ghosts or spirit people present. Please come and speak to us. What's your name? Do you know that you're dead? What time do you come from? What year did you die? I'm just getting that EVP pulled up and it's housing now. If you're only ghost or spirit people, please come and speak into this blue light. Paul Whitehead. Do you still wander the caves looking for your lost heart? Will you ever find peace? You said that's beyond. This really is a beautiful last resting place. Lord and Lady Dashwood can look out on their estate from here. See, with the spirit box, it is noisy, but it aids us. And where it's going so fast now, if you get something intelligible, it should be paranormal, because this sweep rate, you shouldn't get a radio wave or something intelligent over the several sweeps, like and the spirits can use this to speak to us. Was the ceremony that marched Paul Whitehead's heart up to the top of this hill as magnificent as I've read about?
Dashwood, Sir Francis Wycombe, or Francis of Wycombe, as you went by your name in the Hellfire Club. What did you get up to down there? Was anyone ever sacrificed at your hands? I read, Lord Dashwood, that you liked music. And that you liked to mix with the ordinary man. And would often drink in the taverns and inns in West Wycombe. One of which I'm staying in, and one of which I visited. The Plough. Is it true that you used to make your way through the passageway along the Plough up to these caves and to these hills? Thank you. If you can, use all your energy. You can take energy from this machine with the red light. And this machine that is making a noise, you can speak through. Was there a Saxon hill fort up here? A Norman hill fort? How long have people been up here for? Will any of the souls that lie in the churchyard like to talk to us this evening at all when I go there? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not offering any prompts as to what I think I may be hearing or whatnot. I leave it blank as to your judgment. It's fair like that. All I'm here doing is trying to prove that there is an afterlife, that our souls do go on when we die. Like is heaven real and hell. Oh, that's a Francis Dashwood. I don't know if you've heard that. Spiritual people who would like to come and speak to us, please come and do so now if you can. I heard that. Oh, that was a baby that cried. Oh my god. What's your name, please? How old were you when you died? Do you know that you're dead?
Yes.
Oh. Thank you. Are you at peace? Apart from my disturbing you, of course.
The center of
John the Aged. Paul Whitehead went by that nickname in the Hellfire Club. And Sir Francis Dashwood went by the nickname of Francis of Wycombe. Did you just say Wycombe? What did the inner members of the Order get up to and do down in the caves? Did you really raise a toast to the devil? A baby of the Dashwood family that's buried in the mausoleum. Because babies' cries have been heard down in the caves as well. What's your name, please? Simon. Is it true that there are people buried behind the Georgian Dragon Inn in the mound by the trees? Quite active here. And the thing is, the spirit box is in the Faraday pouch as well, so it's... Did you just say peace? Do you want peace, or are you at peace? Thank you. See, it's saying things in the same accent, same voice, over several sweeps, which if it was radio interference, it shouldn't do. I'm going to change the sweep rate to a forward sweep. Or spirit people present, please. Speaking to one of the devices that you can see with the red or blue lights. Hello. Thank you. What is your name, please? If you could you show yourself? Did you just say I have? I took a picture earlier and I captured 2 orbs, and just as that happened we heard a woman humming. Was that you? Lady Dashwood, did you know about your husband's and the Hellfire Club's doings down in the caves? Did you care? In a minute I'm going to turn off this machine that's making a loud noise, so if you are using it to speak and you'd like to say anything before I turn it off, please do so now. Thank you, and God bless. Well, that's that loud noise off, isn't it, for a while now? You can hear the buzzing in the background. That's the EM pump, which I'm just going to move. That's here. Put it back on its tail so it's further away from the phone. Now, what I'm going to do is something quite different to what we were able to do in the caves. It was very kind of them to let me do that. But obviously for health and safety reasons they couldn't turn the electrics off, which means that you couldn't get the voiceovers turned off, which I wasn't too sore about, to be honest with you, but they acted as good trigger objects. A trigger object is something that will invite or promote paranormal activity. So, like the bottle of water that the phone is being held up by, which came from Lord Dashwood's estate, from the little river, that I can actually hear when I go and have a smoke down the back, like where the pub is. Anyway, I'm going to be quiet now for about 5 minutes, and we're just going to let and see if anyone has anything to say. If they do, please speak into this device that I'm pointing at now, or the device in the black pot that I'm pointing at now, that you can see the blue light flashing on. If you can show yourself in the smoke, sometimes that helps or works. I've seen paranormal people do that. I'm willing to try anything if it works. If anyone has seen anything or heard anything, let me know in the comments section. I'm going to move over to my corner and be quiet now and keep it going to 40 minutes, and then I'll end this live, pack up this little box of tricks and move us into West Wycombe churchyard. Oh, it's a great big slug. Yeah. Sorry. That'd be interesting to see if anything was captured or picked up there. Just a little bit more on Lord Dashwood, Lord the Dispenser. He wrote a prayer book with the idea in mind of shortening the already very long prayer book that existed, so that old people wouldn't be basically freezing to death in churches listening to long sermons in cold churches. The book didn't take off too great over here, but it certainly did in America. And the image that you see of him in yesterday's ghost hunting tableau, that's him holding that prayer book. He must have been very proud of it. Lord Dashwood, if you can say anything about yourself or the prayer book, your life, or the Hellfire Club, if you will, please do so now. Sorry about my coat rustling. I have had to dress up very, very warm. It's really cold up here. And lastly, and I don't expect it to work, but if any ghost or spirit people can affect this compass, please do so. Well, it was worth a try, wasn't it? And that's our EM pump. Hopefully it has created enough energy for something to have come through. All my stuff is covered in chalk dust. That's from in the caves. But hope you've all enjoyed this one. And we shall pay our last respects to the Dashwoods. Thank you for watching, and I'll end this one now. And as said in our intro and introduction to the Dashwoods, I would put faces to names, and so I shall. And Lady Dashwood, the wife of Sir Francis Dashwood of Hellfire fame, Sarah Gould, married in 1745, and she sits right at the very centre of all this, so he must have loved her very, very greatly. And here they are, Lord and Lady Dashwood, in the park, and you can see West Wycombe Park House just over to the right in the background. And I said, didn't I, about our soldier as well that gave his life for his country, Robert Henry Lindsay Dashwood, captain of the Prince of Wales' own Yorkshire Regiment, son of Sir Robert John Dashwood, born in 1897, killed in action on the 27th of May 1918 in France, and his body was never recovered. He has a memorial here, of course, and he has one in the church, which if you watch the summer church video when it hits the page, you will see. And here is the man himself, Captain Robert Henry Lindsay Dashwood. Our next person of interest, who we have a photo of,
is Sir John Lindsay Dashwood, 1896 to 1966, 10th Baronet of West Wycombe. This was the man with a lot of titles and had a lot of positions. And here is the man himself, when in his younger years. This will be First World War. And here we are, we see him later on at the christening of one of his children. And our next person, Lady Victoria Dashwood. Sorry, Lady Ellen Moira Dashwood, eldest daughter of Colonel Daniel Isaac Vernon Eaton, 1899 to 1989. And over to the right, here they are at Cowes, the Isle of Wight, Sir John and Lady Dashwood in 1933. And don't they make a dashing couple, don't they, the Dashwoods? People did dress elegantly back in those days, didn't they? Far more elegantly than we do. And our most recent man, Francis Vernon John Hereward Dashwood, 7th of August 1925 to the 9th of March 2000, the man that loved West Wycombe so much and did so much to restore its former glory. And here we see him here, John Vernon Hereward Dashwood. And as promised that I would show you at the end of the video, the medical doctor, Dr. Thomas Thompson, who was doctor to the Prince of Wales and also served under Nelson at the Nile. This is his memorial. And this is the man himself. Also, we mustn't forget Joseph Borgins. He did feature at West Wycombe Park. If you watched that and you saw the lovely paintings under the porchway of the house. If you watch the Summer Church and you see the stunning paintings in there, he will feature. There was a bust of him in the mausoleum, but it was stolen or vandalised and no longer exists, I'm afraid. But Joseph Borgins, 1704 to 1761. Borgins, a painter from Crevegia in northern Italy, came to England with other members of his family in 1751 at the invitation of Sir Francis Dashwood and executed many of the fine ceilings and frescoes in West Wycombe House and in the Church of St. Lawrence. They were copies from famous places in Rome, such as the Palazzo Farnese, and from the temples at Palmyra, near Damascus. And what you see here is a ceiling painting from the Blue Room at West Wycombe House, painted by Joseph Borgins. I can find no images of the man online, or an image of his bust or anything, so it's a shame really. Would have liked to have put a face to that name and that talent. And of course, we mustn't forget Paul Whitehead. This urn, damaged when the heart was stolen, was up in the Dashwood Mausoleum, and it was in one of the niches right at the top, so how in goodness knows the Australian soldier got it down to steal it, I have no idea, but still the heart he did. And the urn has been in the caves ever since. Paul Whitehead and his missing heart. When we look at the evidence at the end of the video, that's going to feature again. That's quite interesting actually. And here is the man himself, Paul Whitehead. Great friend of Sir Francis Dashwood, who bequeathed his heart to Sir Francis Dashwood to be put in that urn and put up in the mausoleum. And since stolen, his restless spirit is said to have wandered the place ever since the mausoleum and the caves below, looking for his lost heart. And of course, Sir Francis Dashwood, he is mentioned right around the top of the stone frieze that goes around the top of the thing. But one of the memorials with the very worn inscriptions I've found out since, this one here with the blue arrow, is one of 3 or 4 memorials to Sir Francis, because he had the great big one set up to himself, which was the fresco. Then when he died, this one was set up by his daughter. There's another one inside the church. Now with the Summer Church, they don't allow videography beyond the altar rail for security reasons of various kinds that I can't go into, but they very, very kindly allowed me in there to take photographs of Sir Francis's memorial in the church and the memorial of our man that lost his life in the war, so that you'll see if you watch the church. But here's one of his memorials that was set up by his children, and of course the man himself, the father and son. Over to the left you see Sir Francis Dashwood. Over to the right you see Sir Francis Dashwood, son of the so over to the left, sorry, father, over to the right, son, sorry, and both called Sir Francis, but the son outrivaled the father in his position and status and that. So I thought it was nice to end this little bit off with these two faces. And now let's examine some of the evidence. Out of the hundreds of pictures that I did take, and I took hundreds of them, we shall see what we found. Now, you remember me mentioning, and I'm peed off that I didn't catch it on audio, just as I was taking photos, me and James both heard a woman go, Well, literally just as we heard that, this is what showed up in the photograph. I was taking pictures of the top of the inside of the Dashwood Mausoleum. You can just see over to the bottom left one of the urn type things that sits right at the very top. But you can see these two orbs that showed up, which I thought was rather interesting, especially as it happened right at that very moment, which did put the wind up both of us, I must admit, because it sounded very, very close. Our next thing was this, what I've pointed out with the arrow, this weird, and I don't know why it was, because when I take pictures I take 3 at a time, so 3 in very quick succession. 2 showed up normal, the third one showed up with this weird light thingy-majig, whatever you want to call it, so I thought that was worth showing. So this is one of the pictures that I took that's normal and it shows nothing, so just as an example. But one of the ones that was taken directly after it, where the arrow is, see that wisp of something coming out the niche there? Up in that niche is where used to be kept the urn containing the heart of Paul Whitehead. And it's quite interesting, isn't it? Directly after taking this photograph, the third one, this is what showed up. Right in the top right hand corner, and I've tried to debunk it. I don't know what it is. It's some weird light thing. I have no idea. So I leave that up to your judgment. And directly after that was this one, which is just strange because it wasn't that misty there. So yeah, a fairly active location is the Dashwood Mausoleum. And that concludes our little paranormal wanderings with that. I hope you all found it interesting, and thank you very much for watching. Our next one will be the Ghost Explorer in West Wycombe Churchyard, St Lawrence. Now the live, I didn't manage to salvage from that. That was one of the ones that YouTube spent about 8 hours trying to upload and didn't. But luckily I have a screen recording of that, because I screen record whenever I go live, which isn't very often because I get problems. So you've a screen recording of that one to come. That will be next.